In this lesson, I am going to show you how to quickly and easily determine the y-intercept of a line from an equation. The standard equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. I need to have my linear equation in this format so that I can easily read slope, which is represented by m, and the y-intercept, which is represented by b. If the linear equation is not in this format, I need to rewrite it into the standard format. If you do not know how to rewrite equations or have any problem doing so, please look at my videos on rewriting equations. In these first 6 examples, these lines are in the standard form. I have the variable y on one side of the equal sign, not negative y, positive y. If it's negative y, you've got to rewrite the equation until you have a positive y. So we have the positive y, and then we have the term with the variable, and then we have a constant, a number that doesn't change, a number that's not attached to a variable, being added or subtracted to the term with the variable. So we have all of our lines in the standard equation. To determine the y-intercept, all I have to do is read what this last part is, plus b. The y-intercept is this portion of the equation. The location where this line crosses the y-axis is this portion of the equation. So in this first example, this line crosses the y-axis at +1. This is the y-intercept. For this line, the y-intercept is -7. This is the location where the line crosses the y-axis. For this line, the y-intercept is +8. This line crosses the y-axis at +8. That is the y-intercept. For this line, the y-intercept is +3. This is the location where this line crosses the y-axis. This line crosses the y-axis at -8. This line crosses the y-axis at -5. The y-intercept is -8, the y-intercept is -5. So this line, and this line cross the y-axis somewhere above the x-axis on the y-axis. All of these with negative y-intercepts, -7, -8, -5, cross the y-axis somewhere below the x-axis or the horizontal axis in the negative area of the y-axis. Now let's look at the next 3 examples. Y equals 4, y equals -9, and y equals -19. In order to graph something like this, we would put a point at y equals 4, a point at y equals -9, a point at y equals -19. So let's use this sample graph and imagine that this is y equals 4. So we put a point there. Now, how do we graph that? We don't graph this as a point on a Cartesian plane. If this was a horizontal line and we had x equals something, you could put a dot somewhere on that line. But because we're on a plane, and this is to be a Cartesian plane, an x-axis and a y-axis, I need to graph something, not just put a point there. If I want to indicate a point on a Cartesian plane that was right there, I would use the coordinate point 0, 4. not y equals 4. So because I'm putting a point right there at y equals 4 and I need to graph this, this is a line, a horizontal line going through that point. So all of these are horizontal lines. They look just like this line. The only difference is this one crosses the y-axis at 4. This one crosses the y-axis somewhere down here at -9. And this one crosses the y-axis somewhere down here at -19. So where you cross the y-axis is the y-intercept. So 4 is the y-intercept of this line. -9 is the y-intercept of this line. -19 is the y-intercept of this line. Now let's look at this equation, y equals 7x. There's no plus b portion of this linear equation. Since there's nothing there, it really means plus 0. Anything plus 0 is still itself. So there's no reason to write that for the equation, but it does exist. This tells me that this line crosses the y-axis at 0. It goes through the origin, this point right here. This is x equals 0, but this is also y equals 0. This is 0 on the y-axis. Every time you see a linear equation in this format, y equals some number times the variable x and nothing else, all of those cross the y-axis at the origin, at x equals 0 and at y equals 0, which is the origin, the location where the x-axis and the y-axis cross. So the y-intercept of this line is 0, or the origin right there. Let's look at the last two examples, x equals 5 and x equals -0.5. These are vertical lines. This line crosses the x-axis at 5, a vertical line. This line crosses the x-axis at -0.5. Vertical lines do not cross the y-axis unless they lie on the y-axis. And that's not crossing it, that's just lying on it. And the equation of that line would be x equals 0, or just the y-axis. Vertical lines do not have a y-intercept. I hope this lesson was helpful. Please leave a comment. Your comments help me improve the quality of these videos. Have a great day. No more math blues.